for being here. Thank you with all my heart. Such gratitude that folks have shown up for our last show of 2020 for the Story Salon. Thank you again. Um, and my name is Beverly Mickens. I'm the creator and founder of the Story Salon. Thank you. Along with my incredible producers that I don't even think last time I gave props to, Miss Donna Allen Figueroa, Mr. Tony Figueroa, and Mr. Dan Farron, and he will be here very soon. Thank you again. Oh, also a huge shout out to the woman who is more than patient, has more patience with me than anyone should ever have. But she brought us to this point of such tremendous success on the worldwide interweb. I'm always grateful to her, our media consultant and all around savvy gal, Miss Amber Greenberg. Amber. She's a very cool chick. Get to know her. Thank you, Amber. And tonight, our Story Salon will present, and Dan Farron and I did a lot of work on trying to come up with a good theme for this month, because, you know, it can get very sappy. It's the holidays, it's a pandemic, you know how it is, you know, and we rejected stuff like whiskers on kittens, you know, and my favorite fruitcake. You know, we decided to reject those themes. And tonight our theme is Believe It or Not. This is the best thing that happened to me this year. Because I thought people would really have some interesting, gritty stuff to talk about. And everybody on this show is a jewel, is a gem, and just such perfection. And I really thought, what better way to lead us all out of this year? Oh, to lead us out into this year and to bring us into the land of milk and honey than every one of these storytellers on the show tonight. So we will start with a woman who has done several of our Zoom shows. I can say ever so much about her. I don't want to embarrass her, but I think I will anyway, to say that she is just truly lovely and vivacious, one of our sturdiest storytellers. Her beauty and her talent are renowned. Please welcome Miss Donna Allen Figueroa.
She not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I good? I'm good. Hi. Seriously, the only thing that would get me away from all those Hallmark holiday movies is you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to go back earlier this year. Tony and I belong to a mastermind group for artists. We support each other, we give each other advice, we brainstorm, we exchange information, and we hold each other accountable. At the end of this particular meeting, I had a concern. I had just been really frustrated. I wish I had more time. Oh my God, I so many things I want to do. A couple of the people said, it seems like you've been doing an awful lot. I said, but I want to do more. I mean, I'm having trouble finding the balance between my day job and my career. And they asked me, well, what would you do? Oh, I had a list: building a website, updating my materials, getting more up to date on my social media. I had a list of things. And well, somebody asked me what my perfect life would be like right now if I had my way. What would it be like? I said, well, I would be recording audiobooks and other voiceover projects. So I would have freedom to go to auditions as I pursue on camera and theater jobs. It just sounded so nice. That was Sunday, March 8th. A few days later, the world changed and I had time.
Tony and I were told that we had 2 weeks. Universal would close on March 13th. We'd be back at work on March 30th. I had 2 weeks. Yes. And I was going to use that 2 weeks. I made a list of everything I was going to do, and I started doing it. And then Tony tells me we have until the 30th. Okay, 2 more days. I am going to use this time. And then we had a month and another month. And I think when we got to July 4th, I stopped thinking about going back to work because that wasn't going to happen for a while. But in the meantime, audiobooks were finding me, people me. Uh, there were classes online. A lot of people in the community, through the union, through other platforms, were offering classes to actors. I was taking a class or two every single day. I was updating my material. I was getting savvier with the social media. Then I started auditioning and I started booking. I booked a play. I booked a commercial with a print element. Between then and now, I have done 7 audiobook projects. I've done several narration or projects, including one for the U.S. Department of Health. I've I booked 3 films. Okay, all union gigs. One of them was shot right here in our apartment. Production delivered a kit. Tony, my crew, set me up, and I shot a film in my living room. In fact, I have dubbed my living room the pandemic theater and studios. 2020 has not, it's been crazy, but this has been the best year professionally I have had in ages. I mean, I finally got my wish. I am a full-time working actor. With that said, it's bittersweet. I miss my family. I miss my friends. I miss my coworkers. I miss all of you. I saw a post from a friend of mine, fellow actor, worked with him at Universal. He is now an RN. He works at Walter Reed. He posted a photograph of himself today getting the vaccine. And I swear I got emotional. And I had to tell him, I said, I am so emotional looking at this photograph right now. You give me hope. And he admitted that he'd gotten emotional himself.
You have to hang in there.
So as bad as this year
I will.
has been, it's for a reason.
Because sometimes it's
The reason we are separated
so funny.
is so we can be back together in 2021. So I miss all of you, and I wish you a happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous New Year. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. It's almost over. We're going to get through this. We will come back bigger and better. And I can't wait to see everyone next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you so, so much. Thank you. Again, Miss Donna Allen Figueroa. Thank you. Donna has done all that, and I don't mean to ride on her coattails,
I
but
can't hear anything.
oh, okay, no? Should I, oh, sorry, I should have, okay, is that better? Can you hear now?
Can't hear anything.
Oh,
Yep,
great.
I can hear you. You're good.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I can hear you.
I just wanted to say that I don't want to ride on Donna's coattails because I'm so impressed by everything she's done. But I would just like to say that I've spent the last 9 months organizing and reorganizing my sock drawer. Thank you. 135 times, my socks are exquisitely stacked. So I learned a lot too during this pandemic. I'm going to bring up somebody who was a regular member of the Story Salon and had other things going on and then came back last year. And I got to tell you, it's a kind of thing that when he came back to the salon, my eyes lit up. It was just the very best thing in the entire world to see him. Barry did a one-person show several years ago, and I still remember it. I still remember the stories he told. I remember how his storytelling seems so nuanced and so sort of regular, but how he pulls you in with every story, with every word. I just find him pretty sterling a storyteller as one could ever hope to find. Mr. Barry Siegel.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Beverly, the one thing I miss the most is your introductions. Thank you.
Yeah.
I always thought that if the world would just stop for 2 weeks, I could get caught up. Evidently, I was wrong because the world stopped for almost 40 weeks with this pandemic, and I haven't gotten a lick done or caught up. But I did, like Beverly, I learned a lot, and I'd like to share some of the things I learned with you. I learned that no matter how much food you stockpile, there's never anything in the house to eat. I also learned 100 ways to cook sweet potatoes. Nutritionists tell us that they're better for us than Idaho potatoes, but I found that no matter how you prepare them, they're still sweet potatoes. I learned to appreciate the value of small things like toilet paper. I learned that you can have anything you want delivered to your door by Amazon, whether you need it or not. You can have bakeware, Zoom lighting fixtures, exercise equipment, all right to your door. I also learned that you can purge. You can throw away old exercise equipment. You can throw away clothes you don't wear, toys your adult children haven't played with in years. And so I watched as a stream of stuff went out of the house almost as fast as the Amazon stream came in a kind of net zero equation. I learned that our house wasn't self-cleaning. I learned how to clean a toilet. I learned to jump rope. I also learned that if you jump too much rope, you can pull a calf muscle. I learned to watch Netflix on my iPhone, life-altering. I learned that gluten and sugar don't really give you any comfort no matter how much you eat. And I learned there is a time and a place for Xanax. I rediscovered pizza, which is perhaps the second best thing that happened to me this year. I learned how to properly wash my hands. I learned that contrary to popular belief, you can forget how to ride a bicycle. I learned things I always thought were rock solid can be really fragile, like our democracy. I also remembered that exercise makes everything better. So every morning during the pandemic, I got up and did my home workout and went for a walk in the now deserted streets of my neighborhood. There were a few other people, the same people every day, walkers, bicyclers, joggers, and we nodded from a distance and said hello. And every morning I walked past a house with a basketball hoop and a 40-year-old guy, 40-something-year-old guy shooting hoops. As I walked past, I acknowledged him. I said, hey, if this pandemic goes on much longer, you're going to be great. He responded, yeah, if it goes on much longer, I'm going to try out for the Lakers. And so it was. I met people in the neighborhood that I before. And then Gavin Newsom put out a proclamation that closed, among other, tennis courts. My daughter, JJ, 23-year-old, tennis game. So she decided to join me on my walks, which was the best thing that happened in 2020. We walked every morning for an hour plus. We walked and talked, just the two of us with an occasional masked stranger walking by. We hadn't spent time like that together since she was a kid, a very small child. And one day we were walking and we walked past my basketball playing friend's house. The net was set up, the ball was there, but he wasn't. Must have pulled a hammy, I thought. And so we walked over to get the ball, and I remembered immediately a dream I'd had the night before. I said, JJ, I dreamt last night that you and I were walking down the street and we saw a basketball hoop and we saw a ball and we went to play. And as we picked up the ball, we realized it wasn't a ball. It was a giant sweet potato. She laughed. She said, Dad, you've been eating too many sweet potatoes. Then she said, will you write this story in your journal? Because when you're gone, I'd like to read it and remember this day. Just another day in the life of 2020, a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry Siegel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. 50 ways to leave your sweet potato. Thank you. Thank you. I am going to introduce someone who I gotta tell you, I always thought that she was just the swellest on stage. Keisha has so much, what we used to call in the old days, vim and vitality. She's lousy with vim and vitality. Also, I really adored her because she could tell a story in a way that would either break your heart or make you bust out laughing. She has talent galore, trust me. Miss Keisha Norton, welcome her.
Thank you so much, Beverly. My goodness, I have to live up to that now. So before COVID, I worked a soul-sucking job. I mean, I was grateful for the jobs and it paid most of my bills. But personally, every time I thought of my job, I would think it stood for just over broke. And it literally broke my soul. And having to lift so many heavy things, I thought my uterus was going to fall out of my body one day. And I ended up in the catering field. Originally, my survival job was teaching ice skating, but I was allergic to the air in the ice rink. So I had to quit. And my mom taught me how to cook when I was little, which came in handy, no pun intended, when I had to walk away from skating because catering was going to pay for my comedy and my acting careers. And so every time I worked a catering gig, I would say, well, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'd rather cater than waiter. And on the inside, though, I was being crushed. My soul and my vim and vitality, like Beverly said, was being mushed. And then I was at work one day, 9 months ago, and I had a meltdown at work. I think it was in private. As far as I know, no one saw me or heard me, but I was walking around the office behind closed doors, just crying, going, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. Please, please, please get me out of catering. I just want to work from home. Well, I didn't mean send the whole world home. So anyway, I feel kind of guilty saying that this is the best thing that's ever happened to me because so many people are suffering and dealing with major loss. But this was the subject, and this really has been a time of blessing for me. Like Donna was saying, I had no time to do my passions that fed my soul until now. And you know, I have a niece right now who's waiting to get her COVID test back. And I know a lot of people have dealt with loss and everything. And hopefully financially tomorrow, or the next couple of days, the Americans, all of us Americans that are on unemployment will be blessed with a gift before the holidays. That would be nice. But during this time, I realized why I was born. And when I was younger, when my mom was busy having a nervous breakdown and my dad was running for the local town council, I felt it was my duty to make people laugh. I just thought I could help people get through this bleep by laughing. And then that became my mechanism to cope with issues. It's always been something that I've kind of sort of healed myself with my own pain. I turn on something that's funny to make myself laugh. And my older brother dealt with things very differently. He used to beat the bleep out of me. And I would hide in the only room that had a lock, and that was the bathroom. So I'd hide from my brother for hours and just make myself laugh. And then I'd come out and tell my mom my latest joke or the craziest face I could make. And then what happened during COVID was that I just decided we're going to have an open mic for comedy. And then the next week it turned into a show, and then it turned into branding, and then it turned into I bought the domain name, and now it's a weekly comedy show. And I'm so grateful for this time. And I realized the other day, duh, Keisha, don't be so blonde. You don't have to go back to catering because you can go forward after COVID and have a comedy show. Even though I didn't want to get into producing, but now I'm at producing. And I thought, wow, that's great. That's why I was born, to make people laugh and to get people through COVID together. And if COVID gives you lemons, just make lemonade. And stay safe and healthy, and happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, Keisha Norton. Thank you so much. Yay, very cool. Thank you. Thank you, Keisha. I'm going to bring up someone who, this is incredibly special because this man does not do nearly enough story salons. He is very busy. He is a writer. He has awards. He has accolades. He doesn't always have the time to do our show, but when he does, it is it's extremely and wonderfully special. Mr. Doherty is, I think I can truthfully say that he is the jewel in our storytelling crown. And he is also a husband of which other husbands are judged by and found lacking. From the other end of our house, please welcome one of the best storytellers I know ever of all ever Mr. Joseph Doherty.
Wow. After that, I'm kind of wondering if I should let her call me something other than Mr. Doherty. Anyway, I'm sorry, my eye line will never work here, so you're stuck with it. There's a joke in the Broadway musical Pippin. It's the year 1337. Young Pippin sits on the apron of the stage, takes out his diary, and writes in it, "Today was the first day of the 100 Years' War." And the laugh moves through the theater like a lovely breeze. The point of the joke is that these clear lines of demarcation for events and historical periods are all arbitrary and established long after the fact. Nobody ever told their mother they were off to fight in World War I. Nobody woke up in October 1929 and said, "Yes, well, I'm depressed, but is it really a Great Depression?" Please remember that the 60s lasted into the 70s, and there are still some people living in the 80s. When I try to get a handle on what living these past few years and this past year in particular feels like, I end up in a very California place. I'm talking about the experience of being awakened by a good-sized earthquake. To be shaken and jolted and wake to a room that's in motion and making a hell of a racket. You reach for the person you're lucky enough to be in bed with, and you call to the dog in the darkness, and you hold on and wait and wait and wait for the shaking to stop. And when it stops, your ancient brain comes to the surface, crawling up your spine. And then you're seized by that atavistic fear that comes from having no control in the moment and realizing you never really had control of anything, ever. That's pretty much what this year has felt like. One big 3 a.m. rolling earthquake that just won't stop. Now combine all that terror with the human need to set time limits on things, and you can see the trap we're setting for ourselves. So much bad stuff has happened in the last 12 months that there's a very understandable desire to contain it, put a lid on it, and be done. I hate to say this, but this is simply not how things work. You know it, I know it. Nothing's been resolved. The ball has been moved, but so have the goalposts. And on top of that, I don't think we're all playing the same game with the same rules anymore. The truth is, there's an unmeasured amount of trouble and loss and fear waiting for us on the other side of December 31st. If we don't acknowledge that, even a little, we're looking down the barrel of the worst New Year's hangover ever. The best thing about this year is I found out that the world isn't as fragile as I thought it was. It's more fragile. We all live in a soap bubble, and some of us are tramping around wearing baseball cleats. We would be wise to tread softly and stop poking at things, including each other. I don't like the way things have peeled back. I don't like the way things have been peeled back and revealed this year. It's very sad to see what people are capable of. The ability to make matters worse seems to be the only inexhaustible human resource we have. I knew fear and ignorance were out there, but I'm embarrassed to admit I never thought it could be as bad as this. I thought most people were pretty okay. Now I'm being forced to recalibrate, and I'm very disappointed by the new totals. Maybe I should sue for a recount. But I am starting to understand where Western civilization came from. I look at the events we've been through this year, and I can see how a group of intelligent people could come up with the notion of a very pissed off Old Testament God who would look at the mess people are making and send a plague. This makes sense to me, and I'm looking for sense right now. This lets me take the things that have happened and filter them through our human desire to understand and contain. And it gives me something that, if I squint, could be mistaken for hope. Our mission shouldn't be to shove the year into a box and nail it shut. First of all, it's not possible. We can't live moving from room to room like ghosts in a haunted hotel. Life is a continuum, not a set of closets. And all the mothballs in the world won't keep us from remembering and worrying and hopefully learning something from what we've been through. For good or ill, all the years belong to us, and they run together, ebbing and flowing, good, bad, and really bad. Take heart. Thousands of years from now, long after we're gone, but before the meteor hits, our descendants, anxious to make sense of things and categorize them, will look back at the spotty records we leave behind and say, oh, this was the beginning of the great conflict, the first war of reason that eventually led to our present enlightened existence. Boy, they must have been scared out of their wits. Wonder how they managed to keep it together. Stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Thank you so much. Oh. Personally, I just think he's the cutest thing on two legs, but I'll keep that to myself. I want actually Mr. Dan Farron, I hope is here.
I don't think he has joined us yet.
All right, then I know he is on his way. I'm going to bring to our, you know, what the hell, I'm going to call it a stage. It's still a stage. The world is a stage, so is this room. I'm going to bring someone who I adore in every way. Mr. Fance is, if you want somebody to talk to about storytelling and how it works and what to do and how he's doing what he do, he's the best person ever to talk to. I have loved to see his trajectory of storytelling, how hard he works on his stories, what he does with them, his imagination, his sheer hard work that he offers into every story. I consider him just astonishing in every way. And I always think of Ty Fance as a shining star for you to see what your life can truly be. Mr. Ty Fance.
Wow. Wow, Beverly. Oh my God, girl. You sure know how to butter up a brother. Put some wheat bread on my, never mind. Hey, so this is an interesting category to be talking about. just living through it, never really thought much about it until you asked to do this. And then took a minute or two to put something together. And then finally it just fell out. I should just start by saying in the year 2017, 18, and 19, my life was storytelling all over the LA County. I was in LA, I was in Eagle Rock, Atwater, I was over in Pasadena, South Pasadena. I mean, just all over the place, Valley Village, Malibu, ripping and running. And my little body was doing all it could to hang in there. And I just knew that eventually something was going to give. And January 2020, I lost my voice, couldn't talk. I never knew how important it was for me to talk, but it took me down emotionally for a minute, and I knew it was affecting my livelihood because I could not communicate. Frustration kicked in, then a little bit of morale loss, and then just major frustration. And all of a sudden, it was weird. I had a moment of acceptance. And when that acceptance kicked in, the weirdest thing happened. I actually appreciated my silence because I shortly realized after that that I talk too much. I mean, let me get in a conversation and maybe you might get a couple of words in. But that silence for me was, it was releasing and relaxing for a minute. And what really got me was as I got quiet and couldn't talk, the people around me started sharing their stories. And I was amazed how captivating I was with that. And it was another thing that happened is I began to realize that I like people. No, I mean, like I liked people before, but I found them more interesting as they were sharing their stories, not necessarily on stage, but just wherever we were. And I was really, really caught by that. I'm like, wow, I need to be quiet more often and listen to other people. Well, then, of course, the pandemic decided to descend upon us and shifted the way I operated socially. You know, I had to get in line with the protocol because I'm not trying to be sick or nothing. And so I quickly realized that I had to remind myself every now and then in order to enjoy a glass of cold water, I got to take my mask off because, you know, I don't want filtered water, you know, but I don't know. You might think that's pretty obvious, but occasionally I found myself bumping my face with my cup while my mask was on. I'm like, what the hell, man? How old am I? And then there was a couple of things that I realized about myself that I, prior to this event, touched my face a lot, ridiculously a lot. I never knew that until I became conscious of it. You would think I would know, but how often my wife would say to me, with the equal amount of disgust and disbelief in her tone of voice, do you need a tissue? I will get you a tissue. And of course, the equal amount of nonchalant response from me was, "No, I'm good." You know. But it was really bringing me to conscious of some things I used to take for granted. I always figured I was healthy and strong, but it became more important to me now to be sure that my immune system is in top condition, Jack. I mean, I found myself doing things I would not nearly do on a regular basis, like resting. Who knew? Eating good food for a change, drinking a lot of water with my mask off, of course, and exercising pretty regularly because I had time. Before I was ripping and running, I didn't have the time, but now it's like nothing but time. So I found myself doing that, and because of that, I just found a little bit more peace that I didn't have before because I was too busy trying to juggle so many things. I didn't know I was that busy because I was handling it, quote unquote. But in reality, once it stopped and the dust settled, I was actually able to see the mini balls that I had been shuffling. But I didn't even mention it. I was also doing my own show in addition to running around. So you had that on top of it. But all of a sudden it became very clear to me, I was busy just being busy. And I found myself at a place where I had to decide, okay, where did I want to put my energy? And what is it going to bring me the most return on that effort, you know? Soul wise, I wanted more than just the physicality aspect of it. I wanted to be emotionally recharged. So I participated, examined the protocols, and paid attention. And I did notice something else about me. Just, yeah, I'm gonna say this, and hopefully y'all still be my friends. There was a time when someone sneezed in public, and I'd be the first to offer a God bless you and a Gesundheit in a tissue. I actually found myself recently where someone sneezed, and I offered them a piercing stare. That's penetrating, Jack. Like, what are you doing here? You don't need to be here if you sneezing. I also offered them enough space that you could parallel park a gas guzzling 747. Didn't even bother to offer a tissue. And I thought about that afterwards. I don't know what I was thinking, but it just unnerved me that you wouldn't think not to do that, or at least not be there. Of course, on my other hand, I had to sneeze once, and I damn near killed myself trying not to sneeze, trying to hold that thing back in for, I don't know, a good 25 minutes, man. So I guess what I got out of this thing, which was surprising to me for somebody that's kind of an A-type and likes to be busy, is that not being busy is not a bad thing. And it found some calm and some focus where I started to appreciate things that I had. I guess that would be the thing to say. I became more appreciative and thankful. Oh man, and I totally appreciated my humanity. It was like magnified on a level that I could it was tangible. And then also the humanity in others became more apparent to me. And so I'm thankful for that too. And in the end, I ended up with two other things that I guess I wouldn't have done had it not been for the event. I developed a cocktail to help me battle any potential bacteria or viruses. It's a tea made out of apple cider vinegar.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't wish this on anybody who can't handle tart stuff, because if you haven't had it, it's like, I imagine it would be what green tea tastes like if it had been filtered through the sock of a footballer. And the smell is pretty bad too. My wife actually said to me, do you have to drink that in the house? Like, where am I going? Well, how about the garage? Would you mind? And ultimately, though, I have come to a point where I really appreciate people. And I know now that when I get too busy, when the chaos seems to be taking over my life, I can pause and inhale a deep breath on the count of 4, hold it for a count of 7, and then release it on a count of 8, and then repeat if necessary. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Ty Fans. Oh my gosh, that is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
And if you want to find out more about this apple cider elixir to strengthen your immune system, please talk to Ty after this is over. Or you can do what I've been doing since the pandemic started. I eat 5 jalapenos a day. I don't know if I'm getting better, but actually I burned my insides out. So I feel like that's probably helpful in some way. I'm going to bring up our other producer for our show, Mr. Farron. And I know he just arrived, so I'm really happy about that. Dan has been with us. I think 2021 will be his, oh gosh, I think 18th year being with us, being a producer and telling stories. And he has shepherded so many people through their own one-person shows. He's a great dramaturge. I always go to him and ask him how to organize things, how to figure out how to make the show most harmonious, and his answers are always correct. He is a terrific storyteller. I often joke with him. I think that he's a storytelling artisan. Mr. Dan Farron.
Hello, how you doing? I never miss a chance to wear my ugly lucha libre wrestling sweater mask, so I needed to do that right away so I can get that done out of the way. Actually, Beverly, it's going to be and I just knocked my earpieces out. Hang on, it's going to be here. If I ever leave the house ever again. Let's see. Hang on a second. I of course I went for the psych egg and I lost part of my microphone here, but I think I'll be okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. All right. First of all, this is for this little guy. Whenever I ride in an Uber, I usually ask the driver one question which will determine whether or not I talk to the driver for the next 20 or so minutes. And that question is, how's your day going? It can lead to some really fascinating conversations. And if the guy starts talking to me, fine. If he doesn't start talking to me, then I know it's going to be a quiet ride home, and that's okay. But the great irony is that in the past year, I have met 6 or 7 truly inspirational people driving for Uber. And one thing that had turned out, ironically, out of nowhere that we all had in common was we almost all died this year. It was a little bit like the universe was, putting us together just for 20 miles and just reminding us of the lessons that 2020 taught us while it was dealing from the bottom of the deck. The past year has been nothing but a wild runaway train of change for me. I realized that I had a date with destiny, and when it came time to pay the check, I had forgot my credit cards. It cost me a lot, but what I have learned. I have learned to try to be a better person. I learned to try to eat better, to appreciate more things, to learn more, to take some things more seriously than I used to, and other things less seriously. When I laid in the hospital bed, wondering if I was going to survive this renal failure, or if I was going to make it through it, I would listen to the Christmas music that they were playing in the hallway. It's very weird being in the hospital at Christmas time. Frosty the Snowman doesn't quite sound right in the hospital, especially through these years we all may be together. It doesn't sound really good at this point either. So I would lay there at night, couldn't sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning, wondering which of the nurses that were going to come in was going to be the ghost of Christmas future for me. But I have survived it so far, knock on whatever wood I can find. I am a different guy. I'll continue to evolve, and my writing has never been any more important to me than it is now. My Uber driver from a couple of weeks ago, I asked him the question, how's your day going? And then it just cascaded out of him. He told me how he almost died in January, all tied in again, and how he made 6 figures for 20 years, ever since he graduated from college. And he was furloughed in March, and he lost his job in June. His savings are gone, and he's never had to struggle in his entire life until he turned 45 years old. And now he's driving for Uber and has taken a pay cut of close to $70,000. But he told me, he guaranteed me, he swore to me, he says, I'm going to be okay. You're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. His mother used to say all the time, the music never stops playing. It just depends on whether or not we want to sing along. So when it was over with, I thanked him for the talk and wished him well and told him to be safe out there. I tipped him very nicely because it would have cost me a hell of a lot more for therapy or a TED talk at that point. So believe it or not, in summing up here, and this is going to be the weirdest holiday wish you will ever hear this year, The best thing that happened to me this year was that I almost died. Thank you very much.
Oh, Mr. Dan Farron, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a happy
Woo!
holiday wish, huh?
Whiskers on
Yeah.
kittens. Well, I have to thank you, Dan, because it was you who came up with this wonderful theme. So blessings to you, and
You're
stay
welcome.
well.
It sounds wonderful what I've heard so far. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We are going to wrap up this evening of extravaganza, and it is extravaganza with a man who is our extra and our ganza, all put together. I often say this about Mr. Lambert, and it is true. So, you know, you can hook me up to a lie detector, and it would come out absolutely correct. He is truly our little slice of storytelling heaven. One of the best and most vulnerable and most powerful and sweetest and funniest storytellers that we ever have had at the Salon. He is the warmest, sweetest, double crust apple pie ever. And a great pair of Ugg boots too, on top of it. I love him. Mr. Mike Lambert.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Wow, what an evening. Yeah, it's an introspectalusa tonight, I think. I'm loving it. And I'm going to carry on with the same idea. Okay, now I have to start. Clock. Look what the homosexuals have done to me. That is one of my favorite lines from television. It's from Arrested Development. It's a line of Jessica Walters. And I just love it because you can switch out that word homosexuals for anything you want. Life, God, Amazon, it doesn't matter. Oprah, look what it has done to me. And I have to confess that I have a little bit of that mentality. I've had it consistently through a lot of my life. But I want to tell you about a couple of little experiences that shifted me around a little bit. I've noticed with this isolation that I'm paying attention to small things more than I used to. So the first story, the name of this story is Lessons from a Bathmat. And so I need to start by showing you my new Bathmat that I got from Amazon, Walmart actually. This is it. It's very cushy. It's memory foam. And the back of it is like this impermeable plastic rubber latex stuff that doesn't let any water through, so it never slides. So it's great, it's beautiful, and it's safe. And when you step on it, I swear to God, it feels like a Sealy Posturepedic for your foot. It just feels like your feet just get to go, oh, I just love it. I wasn't anticipating the pleasure I would get out of brushing my teeth in the morning with my feet on them. Okay, only thing is I got it in white because that matches my floor. And so I have to wash it all the time. So the first time I washed it, I read very carefully the instructions. I want to give myself a new background here. There we go. This is my Electrolux washing machine, which I also love. I love this washing machine. It's so smart. It does everything, and it does. I don't know how to work it exactly, but it knows what it's doing, and it's great. Okay, so I put the bath mat in the washing machine. I find the right cycle, I find the right temperature, I find the right soap, and I turn the motherfucker on, and it's washing, and it's just doing great. And I'm going about my business. You know, I'm here alone, obsessing about the tragedy of my life. And I go up to, it sounds like it's almost done, so I go up to pull it out so I can put it in the dryer. It's sopping wet. It is sopping wet. And the spin cycle, it's not happening. The machine's kind of like going, but it's not going to that great part where it usually makes that nice hum and it goes. Oh, look what the homosexuals have done to me. And I think, oh my God, my favorite washing machine, my Electrolux from Sears before they went under, has died on me, and I don't have insurance on it. And you know, to have someone come out here with the pandemic and all that to fix, I was just beside myself. And then I don't know what caused this. I do not know. I wish I did, because I would bottle it. I had an idea, and I thought, maybe the water can't get out because it's in like this. Let's see. Well, I can't quite show you, but it's in with the back of it against the walls of the inside of the machine, with the soft part facing inward. And you know, it's not, the water can't pass through that thing. So I'm thinking, maybe. So I just open the door and I turn the bath mat upside down so that the soft, cushy part is on the outside. And yeah, and the rubber part is on the inside. And I turn it on. I had to run it through the whole cycle again, and the suspense was killing me, but it got to the spin cycle. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, son of a bitch. It got to the spin cycle, and it was fine. It was fine, and that thing spun like nothing else. And it came out white and beautiful and clean and practically dry, and it was so great. Well, I realized that the washing machine knew what it was doing. The washing machine was holding back because it knew there was just too much water in there to go crazy spinning. The washing machine was helping me. The washing machine was helping the mat. But I was so mad at the washing machine. And I thought, son of a bitch, that's how it is with life with me. So many times I have shaken my fists against life itself, or a relationship, or a person, or a job, or the homosexuals, when the truth is, they were being nice to me. They were trying to help me, but I had such a tight view of the way the solution was supposed to be that I couldn't see it. The other lesson I learned was from a geranium. Let me get my regular thing going on here so you can see. Okay, this is a geranium. It's a baby geranium. I had 2 big geranium plants die, but before they died, I pulled a tiny leaf from each one. And I read online that you can put those in a glass of water and they'll grow into a plant. So I had this tiny little leaf, little single leaf. I put each one in a shot glass with water on the windowsill. And it didn't look like much was happening, but they did live. They lived. So I thought, well, I'll put them in a little dirt, but I'll keep them on the windowsill because they're very delicate. Well, I kept them on that windowsill for about 8 or 9 weeks. And I wanted to go plant them, but they didn't look strong enough. And I thought, no, they can't go outside yet. It's too cold out there. It's too windy. It's too sunny. There's too much for them. But I got to a point where I just thought, well, I'm going to have to try. I'm going to have to try. And I swear to God, it was like pushing a baby bird out of the nest. But I put the plant out there. I transplanted it into a big pot. It's out there. I can't bring it in here. And like the next day, I was sure it was going to, like, the wind will have killed it. It was doing okay. Now it's been 5 days. I did this on Sunday. 4 days. The plants are growing like crazy. They love it out there. They love that it's windy. They love that it's cold. They love that it's sunny. They love that they have more dirt to play in. They're doing great. And that was the other lesson. I stay inside this very carefully delineated definition of me. I am reticent to step out of me and see what else is going on in life. Sometimes with the pandemic, I'm reticent to even step out my front door. Tonight, I was having a bad time. And then I realized I hadn't been out of the house all day. So I went out and ran. I ran not for long, for about 15 minutes. And now I'm here. And I swear to God, I have never felt more adequate than I do right here in this room right now. So the deal is, switching the mat is a change in attitude. I can't change my mental attitude. I've tried my whole life to change my mental attitude. It's not happening. But I can change my physical attitude the way the Bathmat changed its physical attitude. And if I change my physical attitude, something can happen. And when that happens, or when I step out of my old self into something new, instead of look what the homosexuals have done to me, I just change one word and it becomes look what the homosexuals have done for me. Bless you all.
Thank you, oh, Mike Lambert.
Yay!
Hey, hooray. I say hallelujah, brother. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Woohoo!
Mike Lambert, I gotta tell you, your washing machine, it looks like you're on the set of 2001.
Yeah.
It looks like you could take off a Cape Canaveral there. I'm astonished.
Some days I just sit and gaze at it.
It's fabulous. As soon as this pandemic is over, I'm gonna bring over my dainties and see what it looks like. Please
I have just the cycle for you.
Yay, thank you. Well, many men have said that, but few. Oh,
Yeah.
few. Thank you all so much. I have a huge shout out list. Number one, thank you audience for being here. Thank you for showing up. I could applaud you forever. Thank you for sharing just your energy and your space with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessings to you, Amber Greenberg. Hey, Amber, thank you. Shout out to you. Huge love. Let us thank all of our incredible storytellers, Donna Figueroa, Barry Siegel, Keisha Norton, Ty Fans, Joseph Doherty, Dan Farron, and Mike Lambert. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your goodness with us. As personally, I'm so desperate to hear it all. So again, tremendous blessings. Thank you, Donna and Tony and Dan, our producers. And I just want to say, please, everyone, as we stagger to the end of this year, and it does feel like that, just please be safe, be kind, be willing to give kindness, be willing to receive kindness. And as every storyteller has said, we will start up again. We will see each other again, and the stories will continue. And as I always say, most stories, there's going to be most stories, and then most stories, and most stories after that. And just watch our Facebook page, because we have something special coming up for, oh God, that last Wednesday in December. Mr. Figueroa, do you want to say something about that? No, all right.
No, we'll spring it on them.
Okay, but it's going to be something very lovely for the last Wednesday of December. And let's talk to each other. Let's communicate. Where am I going? I'm here. I'm around. And I really, really love you all. Thank you with all my heart. Thank you. Good night.